Hello everyone, Phoenix Knight here. Welcome to the channel, and welcome to a new playthrough on the channel. June so far has not been a good month for campaigns on the channel. We had to wrap the spring campaign for Arkham Horror, the card game, earlier this month, and now the background campaign for Hero Realms is in peril as well, after we suffered our first loss to the Ritual last week. One more loss of that scenario will see that campaign end as well, but we're not going to dwell on that today. Instead, we're going to take our first steps into the wizarding world of Harry Potter on the channel as we play Harry Potter Death Eaters Rising from USAopoly. In this game, we're playing as teams from the various loosely aligned good guy groups in the Harry Potter universe. The Order of the Phoenix, Hogwarts, and Dumbledore's army, with the goal of defeating Lord Voldemort himself. We'll do this by facing very Elder Sign-esque challenges to recruit new wizards for the team while fending off the various Death Eaters and eventually battling Voldemort. We win if we manage to defeat Voldemort, but we can lose in one of four ways. We can lose if one of our player teams gets completely wiped out. If we have too many wizards defeated, we'll be playing a 3-player game, so it will be a total of 10 wizards. We get one of our locations completely corrupted, and I'll explain more about how that works when we take our first look at the board, or if we have a total of 4 corrupted locations on the board. Once again, more on that when we get over to the board. But that's the very simple win-lose conditions. So let's start setting up today's game, and we'll start by setting up our teams. So each team's headquarters gives a slightly different dice pool. So what you'll do on your turn, and I'll explain a little, and you'll see this a little bit more in detail when we actually jump into the game, is you'll start by deciding where you want to send your wizard. You'll roll a special die set to determine how Voldemort interacts with everybody for the turn. And then you'll roll your dice to try to recruit the wizards. Now, I talked a little bit about the Elder Sign-esque parts, the Elder Sign-esque tasks. So the headquarters will each have a slightly different ability that they can assign dice to. So if you go through a roll, for instance, we'll go with 2 red. We start off with 2 red, a purple, and a blue die. So if we roll the dice, if that's our roll, we did roll a bravery. So what we can actually do is we can assign a die to that for the effect on there. So in this case, a bravery for the Order of the Phoenix lets you, actually all of them for bravery will let you remove a corruption from a location. Again, more on that when we get over to the board. Whereas that is 2 loyalty, I believe, right? Yes. 2 loyalty, the Phoenix symbols. The second effect will vary slightly between each headquarters. So if we assign 2 bravery to that, we can add a damage to an undamaged Death Eater location at a wizard with a loyalty wizard. But you don't draw a spell token for that. So if we're able to put a damage naturally on a Death Eater, then we get to draw a spell token. But I'll explain more about that when we take a look at the board. But anyway. So that's the Order of the Phoenix, that's the starting dice pool, and I'll actually keep those together since we will be starting with the Order of the Phoenix. But let's take a look at the starting wizard here. So the Order of the Phoenix is starting with Sirius Black. You would need 4 loyalty and 2 friendship to recruit him, but because he's one of our starting wizards, we just have him to start on the team, labeled by starting. His special ability to note, if you have a friendship wizard on your team, you roll an extra purple die each turn. Now, one thing I have had a bit of a problem with is some of these color dice are very similar, so they're kind of hard to tell apart. So if you see me fumble with that a little bit, that's why. It's a difficulty on the card. I'm not colorblind or anything, so it's just sometimes it's a little hard to see, but anyway. So those can potentially add to our dice pool, but anyway, that will do it for the Order of the Phoenix. Now let's go meet our next team. The dice pool for Dumbledore's army to start with is slightly different. So we get 2 purple dice, which they vary on what they give you. So the purple die actually gives you extra friendship, whereas the red would give you multiple loyalty spaces and a 2 loyalty on there. Then the blue die focuses on knowledge with a space to give you 2 knowledge. And then there's also brown dice, and those focus on bravery, but I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself on that. So anyway, actually for the start of the game, we might be able to give everybody their starting dice pools. I think we can, at least for the start of the game. As the teams build up, obviously we won't be able to give everybody their dice pools. We'll have to share dice around, but hey, since I'm the only one playing the game, we won't be worried about that too much anyway. Minor rambling aside. So, as you can see, Dumbledore's army has the same ability where when you assign a bravery, you can remove a corruption from your location. But this time we can assign 2 friendship to this spot. All players may remove a damage from a wizard on their team, or 2 if that wizard is a friendship wizard. So, anyway, our starting wizard for Dumbledore's army is Hermione Granger. We would need 2 knowledge and 4 friendship to recruit her. I did kind of gloss over briefly the damage markers, so all of our starting wizards can take 6 damage. Now the game does provide you tokens to track that damage, but I don't like those tokens at all, so instead I'll be using small dice to track those. But anyway, minor rambling on that aside. Hermione wants to get a knowledge wizard to be able to roll an extra blue die each turn, so we will need to keep an eye out for that. I'm trying not to overlap too much with what I have each team looking for, but anyway, that will do it for Dumbledore's army. Now let's go meet our last affiliation. As you may have guessed, I'm using all 3 different factions today, partly so I can have everybody with at least their starting dice. Again, I won't be able to do that as the game wears on, but we can also avoid too much overlap. But anyway, Hogwarts is our last faction. Starts off with 2 blue, a red, and a purple die. And I've got all their starting dice ready to go here. They have the same ability where you can assign a bravery to remove a corruption. With Hogwarts, you can assign 2 knowledge to this card to draw a spell token. All other players with at least 2 knowledge wizards on their team may also draw a spell token. And I'll explain more about how the spell tokens work when we move over to the board. But anyway, our starting wizard with Hogwarts is, of course, the headmaster of Hogwarts himself, Albus Dumbledore. We would need 2 loyalty and 4 knowledge to recruit him, but again, he's a starting wizard. So if you have a loyalty wizard on your team, roll an extra red die each turn. And once again, 6 damage before he's defeated. But anyway, that's all 3 of our teams to start with, so let's take our first look at the board. When you play a normal game of Death Eaters Rising, or any of the Rising games in this universe, in this product line for that matter, you're normally supposed to make a circle with the board, and then you rotate the villain around it. And yes, you can see my Voldemort is supposed to have a second arm, but that got dinged in transport somewhere, so it fell off. But anyway, minor rambling aside, what I'm going to end up doing before I go too much further with the board, I just wanted to show you guys how it's normally supposed to work. What I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to break up the circle and basically just move Voldemort between the 3 locations. I think that'll work a little bit easier rather than having to try to reposition the camera every time, so I can mostly keep the camera in one place. So anyway, let me shut this off real quick, and then I will go ahead and reposition the board. So here I've broken up the circle, as you can see, and I'm going to move Voldemort between each of the locations. So we've got the Ministry of... So I turn on the laser pointer. So we've got the Ministry of Magic over here. He's starting facing Hogwarts. You determine that randomly. And then over here we've got the Hogsmeade locations. So you can see here we've got a spot for corruption and 2 locations. Now I'm going to pretend that those locations have been fully corrupted. So I'll explain more in detail about how the turn worked, but that's basically a corruption on the location. So if we get both of these locations corrupted and then fill this location up completely, then we lose the game. But I will talk more about that in a little more detail as it happens. But anyway, so let's go ahead and take a look at where our starting locations are going to be. So starting off with Hogwarts, we're going to have... Actually, I think this Ministry of Magic, Hogwarts, and I think this is either... Yeah, I think this is Hogsmeade. Right. Anyway, our first location at Hogwarts... Wait, no, this is Diagon Alley. Never mind. For some reason I thought this was... Right. Anyway, Diagon Alley, our first location, is Ollivander's Wand Shop. Now, something I'm going to mention a little bit more with the Death Eaters is this dark mark icon. So when we roll the Voldemort die, and I'll explain more about that in our first turn, if we roll that symbol and this place is fully corrupted, then this is what would happen. So in this case, if the place is fully corrupted, we would add a damage to each wizard at a place with a Death Eater present. So basically the Death Eaters are attacking. It's another way the Death Eaters attack us, other than Voldemort moving to the location and attacking there as well. But anyway, let's take a look at our first roster of characters who's at each location. And we'll start right here with Diagon Alley. So our first character here is Phileas Flitwick. 4 damage, we would need 4 knowledge to recruit him, and once per turn you may change a knowledge to any face. So dice manipulation is definitely going to be present here. Next up we find Ernie Macmillan. We would need 3 friendship to recruit him, and once per turn you may remove a damage from a wizard. And last up here at Diagon Alley we find Luna Lovegood. We would need 3 knowledge and a friendship to recruit her. And then we can assign 2 friendship to her to draw a spell token and remove a damage from a wizard. So any kind of mitigation would be very welcome there. But I'm getting a little ahead of myself there. So next up we'll jump over to the Ministry of Magic. And our first location there will be the Atrium. So on a dark mark, if this place is corrupted, players must assign an additional bravery in order to add damage to Death Eaters this turn. Oh joy, that could be fun. Anyway, let's see who we find here. First up we find Nagini, our first Death Eater. We would need 2 bravery to damage him. If Voldemort is present, add a corruption to each location with the least corruption. Then when we roll a dark mark, the active player also discards a spell token. So after I finish up the Ministry of Magic, we'll move back up and I'll explain the spell tokens a little bit. Second up we find Draco Malfoy. Oh joy. So the Ministry of Magic right now is crawling with Death Eaters. 2 friendship and a bravery to attack him. If Voldemort is present, add a damage to the least damaged friendship wizard on all players' teams. Oh, fantastic. And Neville Longbottom, he can take 5 damage, 2 friendship, actually that's 3 friendship and a bravery. For each damage you add to a Death Eater, you may draw an additional spell token. Ooh, that could be very useful. But anyway, I've mentioned these spell tokens. So every time you put a damage on a Death Eater, we'll be getting one of these spell tokens. Now they have various effects on them, and I won't spoil those going into the game, because some of those might not be relevant. But when I talked about drawing spell tokens, that's what we're drawing. Anyway, last up we've got Hogsmeade Locations. So our first location here is the Hogshead Inn. So on a dark mark, if this place is corrupted, damage cannot be removed from more than 1 wizard on each player's team this turn. And that's going to be fun. And let's find out who's at Hogsmeade. We start off with finding Argus Filch and Mrs. Norris. 2 knowledge, 2 bravery to recruit him. Roll an extra red die each turn. And we can assign a bravery to add a damage to a friendship wizard and remove a corruption from a location. So that can be very helpful, especially if we're getting late into corruption, and we need to keep that under control. Next up we find Augustus Rookwood, another Death Eater. 2 damage to defeat him, a loyalty and 2 friendship. If Voldemort is present, add a damage to each friendship wizard at this location. If there are no friendship wizards at this location, instead add a corruption. That could be a problem if this is not a friendship wizard. And it is not. It's Minerva McGonagall, the Deputy Headmistress of Hogwarts. She can take 6 damage as well, and she's the other possible starting option for Hogwarts. We'll need 6 knowledge to recruit her. If you have another knowledge wizard on your team, roll an extra, what is that, purple die? No, blue die. Of course it wouldn't be purple. But anyway. So yeah, there'd be another blue die. And then that's everything we need to start the game for the time being, and I'll explain everything else when it becomes relevant. So with that, let's get into this, and we'll start with Sirius as he looks to build up the Order of the Phoenix. Sirius is looking for friendship wizards right away. The problem is his dice are not completely suited to recruiting any of them. And the only I think a friendship wizard we're probably just gonna come down here to Diagon Alley. Because that's where we've got a couple of wizards there that he can use, but anyway. So we'll need the dice tower and shot, because of course this is a dice game, as you've probably seen. We'll put it right behind Voldemort. So this will be our first look at the Voldemort die. So the faces that we have, I think there are 3 lefts on here, which means Voldemort will move to the left and attack anybody there and further corrupt the place. Then a right, which means he'll move to the right and do the same thing. Then the Dark Mark is where he'll stay put, and any Dark Mark abilities that we've seen will be resolved. So in this case, the only one we've seen is Nagini, but he doesn't really have a relevant Dark Mark right now. So anyway, let's go ahead and roll this Voldemort die. Okay, so Voldemort, it's kind of hard to see, but he does move to the right. So he'll move back over to Hogsmeade, and then we'll damage Argus Filch and Mrs. Norris along with Minerva. So once again, we'll be using dice to do that. 1 for Argus of 4, then 1 for McGonagall of 6, and we'll actually be getting 2 corruption here, because 1 for Voldemort being there and exerting his influence over Hogsmeade, and then 1 for Rookwood, because remember, we have to add a damage to each friendship wizard present at this location, but because there are none right now at Hogsmeade, we add a corruption instead. So anyway, let's zoom in on Diagon Alley and see what Sirius can do. So we'll just put the zoom there. We've got his starting dice, which are going to be going into the cup. And I think the main one we want right now is probably Ernie. But anyway, we'll go ahead and roll these up. I wouldn't say no to Luna either, though. But I think we're going to probably focus on Ernie, given the choice. Well then. Yeah, so we rolled 3 friendship, a bravery, and a loyalty. So I think the 3 friendship will recruit Ernie on the spot, and we'll get him at the end of the turn. So now we might as well roll to see if anything, actually, is anything even really relevant right now on his card, because we can't do anything here now that we've used 2 dice to recruit Ernie. And nothing on the headquarters card for the Order of the Phoenix is actually very good, so that will actually do it for Sirius's turn. That was lightning quick. But we do recruit Ernie. Now, fortunately, he didn't have any damage on him, but all the damage would come off. So now Sirius gets to roll an additional purple die on each of his turns. And then we replace that. And we replace Ernie at the location with Peter Pettigrew. Oh joy. 2 damage to him. 2 damage to take him out. 2 loyalty and a bravery. And if Voldemort is present, add a damage to the least damaged loyalty wizard on each player's team. Oh, fantastic. So that comes off. We'll zoom the camera back out. And then we'll jump into Hermione's turn. Hermione is looking for knowledge wizards. And there are 2 in Hogsmeade right now, but they're both not terribly hard to recruit, but I don't think we're getting McGonagall at any rate. So anyway, we'll move Hermione down to Hogsmeade, and then we'll roll the Voldemort die since the tower's still right here in shot. Voldemort moving to the right, so he'll move off the board. He'll move actually to the Ministry of Magic, We'll damage Neville there. And then if Voldemort is present for Draco, add a damage to the least damaged Friendship Wizard on all players' teams. So Ernie takes one with the Order of the Phoenix, and Hermione takes one as well. And if Voldemort is present, add a corruption to each location with the least corruption on it. So we resolve that first, which means both the Ministry of Magic and Diagon Alley get a corruption. And then because Voldemort's at the Ministry of Magic right now, that gets another corruption. But anyway, so that's everything for Voldemort. So let's zoom in on Hogsmeade and see what Hermione can do about recruiting here. As well as McGonagall could synergize, recruiting her is just out of the question. Whereas it's not completely impossible for us to recruit Argus. To recruit Filch and Norris. But anyway, let's see what we can do here. There's also a case to be made for taking out Rookwood, but I'm getting ahead of myself there. Let's see, so we have 2 loyalty, a knowledge, and a friendship. So I think, unfortunately, if we put the loyalty on Rookwood, that takes us out of the running to get Filch. So I think what we do here, what do we focus on here? Well, he is going to run up the corruption pretty quickly, so I think there's an argument to be made to try to take Rookwood, to try to do a little bit of damage to Rookwood. There is still a road to getting Argus Filch and Mrs. Norris, however, if we use the purple loyalty on Rookwood, and then hedge our bets against maybe getting lucky with rolls, because we do still have our blue die in here, which gives us the 2 hats, and 2 bravery from the other 2 dice is not out of the question, but knowing my luck with dice, not very likely. But I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself there. Well, unfortunately that would take Filch completely off the table. So I think we discard the blue die and keep rolling. That is an option. You can either assign a die, or if you don't like anything, you can discard one and roll again. Okay, there's a friendship, or we're early enough that I'm not worried about the corruption yet, so I'll just put the friendship on Rookwood and roll that again. Unfortunately, I'm hoping for a friendship on a red die, which is not a great possibility. Nope. So Hermione doesn't get to do anything this turn, which is unfortunate, but can't really be helped. Sometimes it happens. But anyway, that will do it for Hermione's turn. Now let's move back up top and see where Dumbledore is sending Hogwarts. Right now we don't have any loyalty wizards on the board, so Dumbledore is basically just kind of sitting tight, but his dice might actually be better positioned to get Argus Filch and Mrs. Norris than Hermione's were. So I think we'll bring him to Hogsmeade again, and we'll see how that goes. But anyway, first we need to roll the Voldemort die. The Dark Mark rolled, so that means Voldemort stays put, which means anything that's present, so add a damage to the least damaged Friendship Wizard on each player's team. So Hermione takes another hit, as does Ernie. Neville takes another hit as well, from Voldemort being there. Then Nagini's Dark Mark doesn't matter, but the adding a location to each location with the least corruption means Diagon Alley is going to take another corruption. And then his Dark Mark, we would discard a spell token, except the active player would discard a spell token, except Dumbledore doesn't have a spell token right now. Then the Ministry of Magic gets another corruption, and that's everything there. So let's zoom back in on Hogsmeade, and we'll see if Dumbledore has any better luck than Hermione did. Unlike Hermione, his dice don't make getting McGonagall completely out of the question. But similar to Hermione, we'd have to go all in to get her. So short of rolling both 2 hats on McGonagall, for McGonagall, I'm probably going to focus on trying to get Argus Filch and Mrs. Norris. Again, similarly a case for trying to defeat Rookwood as fast as we can, but let's see what the dice decide to do. I'll have to zoom that out just a smidge so I get the dice tower in shot. Okay, so we've got 2 knowledge and 2 friendship the hard way. Unfortunately, one of those is on a... Unfortunately, one of those friendship is on the purple die where we can potentially get 2. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on Rookwood and basically take myself out of the running for McGonagall. I still have ways to get Filch, but we're going to work on getting Rookwood down first, I think. Yeah, I think we're going to put another friendship here. This is basically taking Filch and Norris out of the equation. So let's do another roll. All right, well that does put a damage. That will put a damage on Rookwood. And the last roll, it's a red die, so we're basically looking for a bravery here to remove a corruption from the location, which we do not get, unsurprisingly. So anyway, so Rookwood does take his first damage, and then Hogwarts will get to draw a spell token, so he will get... We can toss these on any player's turn as well. I should have mentioned that. But it gives him it'll give somebody an extra purple die when we need it later. But anyway, before we jump into round 2 with the Order of the Phoenix, let's move back up top and take a look at how the board's changed. In that first round, only the Order of the Phoenix was able to recruit a wizard. Sirius recruited Ernie to his team, which will also give him... And now I'm going to have to stop keeping the starting dice together. I'll have to build each pool separately for the turn. But anyway, since it's going to be relevant, Sirius will get another purple die because he recruited Ernie, and that's his special ability. Ernie's a little bit busted up with 2 damage thanks to Draco. Hermione's also a little busted up, and she wasn't able to recruit anybody. Dumbledore is largely safe for the time being. Moving back over to the board. Unfortunately, we can't really get everything in shot here unless I pull the camera. Okay, yeah, that lets me get everything in shot. That's the one thing I don't really like here, is it's a little bit of a longer shot than I'm used to, but I think I can deal with it. So anyway, everything at Hogsmeade has taken a hit, including our Death Eater, Rookwood, over here. I'll get that token off the board. Both Filch and Mrs. Norris and McGonagall are both a little busted up at 1 damage, but they're not too bad. Peter Pettigrew has come out in place of Sirius being able to recruit Ernie. Over at the Ministry of Magic, Neville's taken a beating. We've got 2 Death Eaters over there. And we've got corruption pretty evenly spread right now. I'm not too terribly worried about it. It's not catastrophic yet, but I do want to try to keep it somewhat under control. But anyway, now let's get into round 2. And now Sirius, with purple dice open to him, we might have a little bit of an easier time recruiting Neville. So I think we're going to head over to the Ministry of Magic with the Order of the Phoenix. Anyway, first up, we've got to roll the Voldemort die. Okay, so that's moving him to the right, which means we move him to which means we're moving him to Diagon Alley. So Luna and Flitwick will now take damage. 1 each. And then Peter Pettigrew will add a damage to the least damaged loyalty wizard on each player's team, which means only Sirius takes a hit. And Ollivander's Wand Store gets a corruption. Anyway, with that, let's go zoom in on the Ministry of Magic. Being able to full stop wipe out Draco is an opportunity that is probably going to be hard to pass up, but there's also an option to be made for recruiting Neville and just having the Order of the Phoenix go crazy with spell tokens. But let's see what the dice decide they want to do. Well, that's 2 of the 3 friendship to recruit Neville or to put a hit on Draco. I think we're going to take the 2 friendship for Neville first. And we just need a friendship and a bravery now. It would have been a lot easier if that friendship had been a 2. That purple friendship had been a 2, but I'm getting a little ahead of myself there. We get the bravery for Neville, and we still have 2 dice that can give friendship. There we go. So that will be the friendship to recruit Neville. And I'm rolling this for a bravery to try to remove a corruption from the location. Which we don't get. We get another loyalty. But anyway, we do manage to recruit Neville for the Order of the Phoenix, so that goes away. We'll move Neville up to, once again, we'll take a quick look at him. So for each hit we add to a Death Eater, basically Sirius is drawing 2 spell tokens per that. So that will be actually very amazing. And then once per turn, I almost forgot, Ernie gets to remove a damage from a wizard. He will remove it from himself. And then replacing Neville at the Ministry of Magic, Crabbe and Goyle, another Death Eater. If Voldemort is present, add a damage to the least damaged knowledge wizard on each player's team. Oh joy. Alright, so that will do it for the Order of the Phoenix. Hermione, I'll go ahead and build up her dice pool first. 2 purple, a red, and a blue. And then we'll move back up top to take a look at her options. I think sending Hermione to Diagon Alley is going to be a better idea than having her go back to Hogsmeade. We'll probably have a little bit of an easier time trying to get Flitwick or Luna than we will trying to get Filch or McGonagall, I think. Plus, we just need one of those type of wizards to give her an extra die, an extra blue die. But anyway, let's see what Voldemort decides he's going to do. Voldemort wants to stay put and resolve the death mark. So Luna takes another hit, as does Flitwick. Pettigrew damages the least damaged loyalty wizard on each player's team, so Sirius takes another hit. And then we have no dark mark abilities. Active player discards a spell token, which Hermione does not have. And yeah. And then Ollivander's Wand Shop gets another corruption, so we do need to keep an eye on that. We might want to try to remove one of those, but anyway, let's zoom down to Diagon Alley and see what the dice are going to do. So our main ideal goal is Flitwick if we can get him, because getting extra dice just seems very good. Okay. Well, that'll be 3 knowledge on Flitwick. Plus the dice manipulation is not a terrible thing either. So we'll go ahead and roll that. Okay, that's not particularly helpful, but we will discard that. Do I want to use the purple die right now to try to have another shot at getting Flitwick? As much as I want to save those for later, I think I'm going to use it now. just to give Hermione a decent chance to actually do something this turn. So we've got 2 purple dice and 2 more shots to get Flitwick. That's friendship, which is actually not a bad thing either. So I'll use the 2 friendship on Dumbledore's army. All players may remove a damage from a wizard on their team, or 2 if that wizard is friendship. Unfortunately, that doesn't help Dumbledore. That does heal Hermione up to full strength, and that will heal Sirius up to 1 health. So we're still looking for another hat. We're still looking for another knowledge, or bravery wouldn't be a bad roll here either, because we could use getting a corruption off of Diagon Alley. The 4th knowledge will actually let me recruit Flitwick, so that was probably the best roll of the bunch, I would say. But anyway, the damage comes off, and we get to look once again. Once per turn, you may change a knowledge die to any face. I believe that's a 1. That's probably just a 1 knowledge. But anyway, and since that lets Hermione roll, that'll also let Hermione roll an extra blue die on her turn. So that's more dice manipulation there. But anyway, replacing Flitwick will be Sybil Trelawney, 2 knowledge, and once per turn you may re-roll any dice before assigning dice. So we'll pull that off, and we'll zoom out. We can at least catch the locations, but my explanations will mostly be off shot. We still don't have any loyalty wizards out for Dumbledore to go after right now. So I think right now we send him back to Hogsmeade and try to recruit one of them. But first up, we got to roll a Voldemort die. Once again, Voldemort is staying put, which unfortunately will fully corrupt Ollivander's wand, so now we'll need to be careful with death marks. But anyway, Luna takes another damage. Sybil takes one Trelawney takes one as well. And if Voldemort is present, we add a damage to the least damaged loyalty wizard at each team. So Sirius takes another damage, and he's the only one. So let's zoom in on Hogsmeade and see what Dumbledore can do. We'll start by building Dumbledore's dice pool. 2 blue, a red, and a purple going in the cup. So our goal here is still to recruit one of these wizards, but I wouldn't say no to taking out Rookwood. I'm probably going to prefer recruiting Filch and Norris, but again, let's see what the dice decide they want to do. Well, I think the dice have spoken, and the dice are saying try to take out Rookwood. So we assign the friendship and the loyalty to Rookwood. Well, a bravery to remove a corruption isn't the worst thing, but I would have preferred that if we were going toward Diagon Alley. But I'm getting a little ahead of myself there. I'll switch those around. I think it's a red die still in here. Yep, it is still a red die in here. And that's a knowledge that is largely useless. So that will end Dumbledore's turn without even putting a hit on without even putting a hit on Rookwood. To make matters worse, Ollivander's wand shop is now completely corrupted, so now the dark mark becomes more dangerous. So Ollivander's wand shop. If this place is corrupted, add damage to each wizard at a place with a Death Eater present. So now Diagon Alley would be potentially... Actually, the Ministry of Magic is somewhat safe in that regard, but the other 2 locations are very perilous. But anyway, the new location we have at Diagon Alley, Gringotts Bank. On a dark mark, if this place is corrupted, players cannot use spell tokens this turn. Oh, fantastic. Alright, with that being said, I'll get those organized back in before we start the next round. Let's move back up top and see how the board's changed. Dumbledore seems like he needed a little night-night time there. He is not really doing all that well here. Hermione finally managed to turn her special ability on by recruiting Phileas Flitwick, also giving her some dice mitigation on her blue dice. And the Order of the Phoenix is actually decently primed-ish to go Death Eater hunting, which is not a terrible thing because as we move out to the board, as we move out to the rest of the board, we see that we have Death Eaters galore. We've got Rookwood still over here at Hogsmeade, who's got one hit on him. Peter Pettigrew just came out, along with Sybil Trelawney joining the party. Luna's in very bad shape. And then Death Eaters galore over at the Atrium. So Malfoy is united with his cronies Crabbe and Goyle over there, and we've got Voldemort's snake, Nagini, out there. But anyway, speaking of Death Eater hunting, the question is, do we send Sirius down? Sirius's dice pool right now is 2 red, 2 purple, thanks to having Ernie and Neville both on the team, and a blue. So that kind of dice pool actually would suit him pretty well, I think, to Death Eater hunting. But also rescuing Luna is probably not a terrible idea either. I think we're going to send Sirius to... And our other 2 locations aren't terribly corrupted. So I think we're going to send him... I think we're going to send him down to Diagon Alley and try to save Luna. His dice are decently set up for that. Plus we can maybe put a hit on Wormtail while we're down there, but I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself there. Anyway, roll the Voldemort die first. Voldemort's actually going to stay put, so let's see. If Voldemort's present, added damage to the least damaged loyalty wizard there. That'll be in addition to the one the one his entire team will take because they're all there. So Ernie goes up to 2, Neville will go up to 1. We really need to rescue Luna this turn if we can, but that's a 4, a 2. Rescuing Trelawney wouldn't be the worst thing in the world either, but anyway, we corrupt the location, and then there was a death mark ability on Ollivander's wand shop. Add a damage to each wizard at a place with a Death Eater present. Oh joy. So now Trelawney is actually in peril as well. So we damage Filch and Mrs. Norris, and McGonagall as well. So yeah, we should probably try to save at least one of Luna or Trelawney. I'm leaning toward Trelawney actually, but once again, let's zoom in on Diagon Alley and see what we can do. Sending 2 wizards up to the infirmary right away is probably a very bad plan, but we'll see if we can avoid it. Let's see what the dice decide. Okay, well, that's not a great roll, but fortunately we only need 1 friendship, so we'll put that on Luna and roll again. So the purple dice aren't really useful beyond that point. But once again, I'm getting a little ahead of myself there. Okay, yikes. That's actually a pretty bad roll. Okay, so we actually don't have any loyalty wizards out right now, which means the Order of the Phoenix's headquarters ability for that is actually very useless. So I think we'll just assign... We'll assign a loyalty to Pettigrew and roll again. Oh, joy. We'll use a bravery to take the corruption off because we've got really nothing else to do with it. And I'm looking at no whammy, no whammy, no whammy. Unfortunately, I just realized we actually can't save Luna. We actually can't save... Yeah, we can't save Luna, but we still have a chance at saving Sybil. But we need 2 hats, 2 knowledge to do it here. Which we, of course... Well, actually for a consolation prize, we do manage to put a hit on Peter Pettigrew, which is probably the outcome I wanted to see the least. But that will defeat both Luna and Sybil. So they'll both go to the infirmary, but we will get... But because of Neville on the Order of the Phoenix team, we will get 2 spell tokens in a minute. Actually, let's do that first. We'll take these 2. So Sirius will get to add an extra loyalty to a roll and remove a corruption from a location. He'll immediately toss that one in. I'll shuffle those up a little bit. To remove a corruption from the Ministry of Magic. So that will go there, and then we'll keep the extra loyalty for later. And then replacing our 2 ladies over at the Ministry, over at Diagon Alley. First up we have... Oh boy, Bellatrix Lestrange. 2 knowledge, 2 friendship. If Voldemort is present, added damage to each wizard on the active player's team. On a death mark, also add a corruption to the Diagon Alley location. Yikes. And Padma and Pavarti Patil. 2 knowledge, 2 friendship. Once per turn, you may change a knowledge result or a friendship result to any face. Yeah. Homegirl probably needs to go bye-bye sooner rather than later. But anyway, now we're moving into Hermione's turn. Yeah, her dice might actually be well suited to go after Bellatrix. So I think we've got a lot of Death Eaters out here. I think we do go after... I think we will send her down to Diagon Alley to go after the Death Eaters. But anyway, Voldemort Die first. Moving him right, so that gets him away from us. But it will damage Filch and McGonagall. And then if Voldemort is present at the location, add a damage to each friendship wizard at this location, but since there's none, we add 1 corruption, which is effectively 2, because we have to add Voldemort's corruption as well. But anyway, so 2 purple, 2 blue, and a red for Hermione. Yeah, I'm deciding if I want to go after the Patil twins, or Bellatrix. I'm leaning toward trying to make Bellatrix go bye-bye. It's going to take me a couple turns to do that, but... And I've got to remember, once per turn I can change a single knowledge to any face. Oh boy. Well, that would just put 1 hit on Bellatrix, but I don't want to do that. That's an ugly way to do it. Actually, you know what we could do? Actually, is that a blue knowledge that I can turn, or any face? I think that seems like it should be any face that you'd be able to change. So, yeah, it's probably going to be wrong, and if somebody has played this game a lot and can correct me on that, I'll welcome a ruling in the comments below, but for the time being, I'm going to rule that you can change any color, any face of that color to whatever result you want. So I'm going to change the purple hat, the purple knowledge result to a 2 friendship and put that on Bellatrix, which will let me roll again. Okay, there's a two knowledge roll, so I can put that on Bellatrix. Then we'll roll again. I'm probably looking for... I don't know what I'm looking for at this point. Healing would not be a terrible idea. Another hit on Bellatrix would not be a terrible result. A hit on Pettigrew wouldn't be atrocious either. So I'll put a loyalty on Pettigrew and roll again. To bravery, Sirius will toss in his extra loyalty token to give her another loyalty and a hit on Pettigrew. And then we'll roll this, hoping for a 2 friendship result so we can do a little bit of healing. Mostly so Sirius can do a bit of healing. That's a very cocked die, so we'll roll that again. Okay, that's a single friendship result, so that won't do anything. But anyway, what will do something, however, is the hit that we put on Pettigrew, which will lock him away in Azkaban. And we put a hit on Bellatrix as well. So Hermione does get a spell token, which means we'll take this one. So Hermione can add an extra bravery to a result. She actually gets 2 spell tokens. I'll move Pettigrew over to Azkaban in a minute. That's on... She gets another bravery as well. So let me bring over Azkaban real quick. Or let me bring over the main card real quick that I'm looking at. So this is the card I'm talking about, where He Who Shall Not Be Named is there. Once Voldemort comes out of the deck, his card will go over here. But anyway, so some things to note here. We've got the Hogwarts Infirmary, which is where I'm putting our defeated wizards. Then we've got Azkaban, where I'm putting the Death Eaters that we've defeated. And then the Corrupt Locations down at the bottom. Now, one thing to note is that we can't damage Voldemort to greater than the number of Death Eaters we've defeated. So in the very unlikely event that Voldemort were to come out right now, we could put 1 damage on him. But that's not going to be very relevant for the time being. But anyway, coming out of the deck now, we have Remus Lupin. So we finally have a loyalty wizard, and Dumbledore may be going after him this turn. Needs 2 loyalty, a friendship, and a bravery. We can assign a bravery to remove a corruption from the Hogsmeade location and a damage from a wizard there. So anyway, that is the end of Hermione's turn. Dumbledore's turn. We'll get his dice pool together. 2 blue, a red, and a purple. Put those into the cup, and I think we are going to bring him down to try to go after Lupin. Actually, those don't go in the cup yet, because we need to roll the Voldemort die first. Moving him back to the right. So we'll move him over to the Ministry of Magic. Put a corruption there. Okay, so Dumbledore will take a damage, as will Flitwick for Dumbledore's army. Hermione will take a damage there, and we'll add a corruption to Diagon Alley. So Diagon Alley gets a corruption. Dumbledore takes a hit. And I think Hermione takes a hit as well. She goes back down to 1. Anyway, now that we've got the dice pool ready for Dumbledore, his priority is Lupin, but similar, we won't say no to... Actually, either result will be good, either recruiting Bellatrix or either damaging Bellatrix or putting a damage on the Patil twins, or putting a damage on Bellatrix or recruiting the Patil twins. That's what I meant to say. Two friendship, which we'll put that on... Who do we put that on? Or do we just work on Lupin? That is not a great result for going after Lupin. I'll put that on Bellatrix. And then we'll roll again. These dice can get Lupin, but they've got to be very picky. That is not the right kind of picky, so we'll put another hit on Bellatrix and roll again. We do have 2 bravery, so Hermione does have 2 bravery she can chip in, so I do need to remember that. Or not bravery, loyalty. Well, I think what we do is we just discard the blue die and roll... No, this won't work. This won't work because I won't have enough dice to get it. So no, I think Dumbledore's turn is just over, which means Bellatrix does take another hit, and he gets another spell token, so we get... So we can add a red die, which I won't use that right now, but that is something worth keeping an eye on. But anyway, let's move, before we start round 4, let's move back up top and see how the board's changed. Dumbledore's job has mostly been in support this game. Although he's been doing a decent job at it, even if he hasn't been able to recruit anybody. But he does have an extra red die that he can chip into somebody. Hermione finally recruited her knowledge wizard in Flitwick, and she's got 2 bravery spell tokens. The Order of the Phoenix is still flourishing, but they're also mildly busted up, but it's not completely catastrophic at this point. But anyway, I'm getting a little ahead of myself there. Moving over to the board, the Ministry of Magic has turned into Death Eater Central. Bellatrix is out, but we jumped on her pretty quickly. Lupin's still out here, probably for Dumbledore to recruit. And then we've got the Patil twins, who are just out here for mitigation. At Hogsmeade, Argus Filch and Mrs. Norris are hanging on by a thread. Rookwood is 1 hit away from being defeated. And then McGonagall is down to half health as well. So, where do we want to send the Order of the Phoenix? Do we want to send them Death Eater hunting? Well, he's getting 2 red, 2 purple, and a blue. And once per turn, after I roll a Voldemort die, I'll probably do that. But I suspect I'm taking a hit off of Sirius. I think we're going to send him down to... His dice are not great for going after Bellatrix, but they're not impossible either. We'll probably leave that to Hermione next turn. His dice are actually decently suited, I think, to finishing off Rookwood, although we've got a mess of Death Eaters over there, but all those take bravery. Yeah, I think we'll go ahead and send the Order of the Phoenix over toward Hogsmeade. So first we roll the Voldemort die. Moving right, so moving toward Diagon Alley. And then if Voldemort is present, add a damage to each wizard on the active player's team. So Sirius is hurting, as is Ernie, but I think I'm going to use his special ability to heal the damage off of Sirius. But anyway, let's move down toward Diagon Alley with Gringotts Bank and see what Sirius can do. It would help if I zoom in on the right place. Sirius is over at Hogsmeade because I was going to leave that to Hermione. So we're actually down at the Hogshead Inn. Yeah, let's remember to bring the camera to the right place. That would be very helpful. Okay, so that's a... We only need 1 loyalty, so we'll put that on Rookwood, and we'll roll again. We do need 2 knowledge and 2 bravery to recruit Filch and Norris. Okay, there's the 2 bravery. Actually, do we want the... I think we'll do it... Well, I think we're going to take Rookwood out because that corruption, because the ability to... Because the way he's been corrupting Hogsmeade, I want to get that gone as fast as I can. Unfortunately, I know I'm kind of risking it a little bit here, but I can toss in a bravery from Hermione if I need to recruit Filch and Norris. Which... I will... I'll just take the knowledge here, even though it's a single knowledge on a blue die, which I don't like, but mostly I'm relying on the ability to roll well. So basically I need another knowledge and a bravery. And I can recruit Filch and Norris up to the Order of the Phoenix. Well, there's the knowledge, so this needs to be a bravery. Unfortunately, it's a... Well... I can use both of Hermione's bravery spell tokens, but I'd prefer not to. I'd prefer to keep those for later. But I will if I have to. And I have to. So yeah, we'll toss both of those in. And then that will recruit Argus Filch and Mrs. Norris for the Order of the Phoenix. That will also defeat Rookwood, but we'll take a look at Filch and Norris first. So this lets me roll an extra brown die each turn, and I can assign a bravery to it to add a damage to a friendship wizard and remove a corruption from a location. And then Rookwood will go join Wormtail up in Azkaban. And we need two characters to replace those two. So we're replacing Filch and Norris. Will be Molly Weasley. 3 loyalty, 1 bravery. We can assign a bravery for each player may remove a damage from a wizard on their team, or 2 if that wizard's a Weasley, but we have no Weasleys out right now. Ask and ye shall receive. Bill Weasley. If you have another Weasley or Fleur on your team, roll an extra red or brown die each turn. Okay, right. So that's the end of the turn for the Order of the Phoenix. Let's move up top and see where Dumbledore's army is going. Looking at the board, I think the best play here, like I said when she first came out, Homegirl needs to go bye-bye as fast as we can get her gone. So I think that's what we're going to do here. So we're going to move her back to Diagon Alley and try to finish off Bellatrix. Rolling the Voldemort die means the death mark goes off. So, since Voldemort's present, we add a damage to each wizard on the active player's team. So Hermione's actually going to take... We're actually going to take 2 damage here. That's gross. So 2 damage to the team. Then we add another corruption to the Diagon Alley, except we're already there. And then everything here takes a hit. So Lupin and the Patil twins both take a hit. But anyway, so we get 2 blue, 2 purple, and a red. And we'll just go ahead and zoom in here on Diagon Alley. So priority number 1, as I've put it repeatedly, Homegirl needs to go bye-bye. Is that damaging everybody on the active player's team is going to cause us big problems, and I want to head that off sooner rather than later. We also have an option of... No, I think we take the 2 blue dice. I think we take the 2 hats. Actually, we can change one of those to a 2, and I think I will put that on Bellatrix. So we've used Flitwick's ability this turn. We just need 2 more friendship to make Bellatrix go away. There's 1. That's not a good roll. So I'll put that on Lupin just to keep it out of my way. I also need to keep an eye on the special army locations, because remember, if we get a location completely corrupted, we lose the game. So that's something else to keep an eye on. And to my relief, I'm not going to take any chances here. I'd rather take a chance on rolling that 2 again than risking letting Bellatrix get away. So we're going to make sure Bellatrix goes away. And we'll try to roll this again. And miss it miserably. Not a surprise there. But I did achieve the main priority of the turn. So Bellatrix went away, which means Hermione will draw one of these. She will draw... wait, we rolled the death mark as well, so we added a damage to each wizard at a location with a Death Eater present. I did forget about that. So that and that. The only other death mark was Nagini, but Hermione didn't have a spell token. She does now, though. I'm not going to discard it, though. So anyway, Hermione gains a knowledge, so she can add a knowledge to somebody's roll. But anyway, more importantly, Bellatrix is locked away in Azkaban, and replacing her at the location will be Fawkes the Phoenix. 2 loyalty and a bravery. We can assign 1 to remove 2 damage from 1 loyalty to assign 2 damage to a wizard, a bravery to remove all damage from Fawkes and give him to another player. So that'll be a very good healing wizard. But anyway, that will do it for Hermione and Dumbledore's army. Now for Hogwarts and Dumbledore, I think we're going to snap bring him right back down here now that I've got 2 loyalty wizards down here that I could potentially grab. But anyway, first we roll the Dumbledore die, or the Voldemort die. Dark Mark, so he's staying put again, which means he discards a spell token. We get another corruption here. Damage all around. And we add a location to each wizard at a place with a Death Eater present. So the Batil twins and Lupin are both in peril. Fawkes isn't doing too well either. But let's see what we can do. So 2 blue, a red, and a purple. We need to get one of them out of there this turn. And I think, this is a very tough choice. Because I've got enough dice here to get Fawkes or Lupin, but not both. Do we take Lupin and hope Fawkes survives? Or do we take Fawkes and leave Lupin for dead? This is a tough one. I think Hogsmeade isn't too terribly corrupted, so I'm not worried about that, but our team is pretty hurting. Either way, we get to turn on Dumbledore's extra die at last. So I think we're also not that hurt on total defeated wizards, so we can probably afford to let Lupin go. I think I will recruit Fawkes. I think I will plan on that. And then here we still have a chance to get the Batil twins as well. And I do have an extra knowledge from Hermione if I need it. Which I will actually use. So we'll do 2 friendship knowledge and then the knowledge from Hermione. And we'll recruit both the Batil twins and Fawkes the Phoenix for Dumbledore's army. So just as a refresher, Fawkes just came out. We can assign a loyalty to him to remove 2 damage from a wizard. Or, or a bravery to remove all damage from Fawkes and give him to another player. Then the Batil twins will let us roll a single friendship into another face. But anyway, that does leave Lupin for dead, unfortunately, so he'll move up to the infirmary. I'll get him organized over there in a minute. And then we need three characters to replace what's there. So first up, we'll replace with Alistair Moody, 3 loyalty and a knowledge. If your team is at the Ministry of Magic location, roll an extra brown die this turn. Fenrir Greyback, 2 bravery and 2 knowledge. Actually, 2 loyalty and 2 knowledge. If Voldemort is present, add a damage to the most damaged wizard on each player's team. On a dark mark, also add a corruption to the Hogsmeade location. And Corban Yaxley, 2 knowledge and a friendship. If Voldemort is present, add a damage to each knowledge wizard at this location. If there are no knowledge wizards at this location, instead add a corruption. That could be a big problem. But anyway, that will do it for the round. Now let's move back up top to take a quick look at how the board's changed. Dumbledore finally managed to recruit 2 new wizards for his team, one of which is probably going to relegate him, I suspect, to a largely supporting role. Definitely need some healing, so I'm probably going to end up building up Sirius and Hermione as my primary attackers. Of course, Sirius's team is still a little busted up, as is Hermione's, but we're not completely in peril yet. But anyway, moving back over to the board. Actually, let me pull Sirius's dice pool before I move over to the board. He gets a brown die as well, I believe. Yep, from Norris and Filch. Or from Filch and Norris. But anyway, moving back over to the board. Right now we have Death Eaters galore out on the board. We've got 3 over at the Ministry of Magic, 2 at Diagon Alley, and we've got pretty relatively clear team over at Hogsmeade. So I think looking at Sirius's dice pool, I think we do send him Death Eater hunting, actually. So we'll send him. Actually, sending him down to Diagon Alley to try to defeat Yaxley pretty quickly would not be a terrible idea, because remember, one of the ways we lose the game is if a location gets completely corrupted. So both cards and then the underlying options, and we're at 4 corruption right now on the second Diagon Alley location. So I think we are going to send the Order of the Phoenix down here. Mostly because we need to go Death Eater hunting and try to clear some of these out. But anyway, we'll bring the Dice Tower in shot. Alright, so Voldemort's moving to the right, which means he's moving over to Hogsmeade, which means everything here takes a damage. And the Hogshead Inn gets further corrupted. So we have 4 corruption there. Anyway, now let's zoom in on Gringotts Bank at Diagon Alley. And we'll see what we can do here. Recruiting Mad-Eye is probably a bonus at this point, but I definitely want to start working on some of these Death Eaters. So I think our bigger priority is probably going to be... They're both pretty bad, and you can make arguments that either one should go. Let me zoom this out just a little further. That's what I was trying to do when I jarred the camera. Let's see. We need 3 loyalty and a knowledge to get Mad-Eye. We need 2 loyalty and 2 knowledge to put a hit on Greyback. 2 knowledge and a friendship to hit Yaxley. Well, I think the most dangerous of those 2 is Yaxley, so we're going to put a knowledge and a... Actually, we're going to put a knowledge and... No, we're going to wait on that. I was going to put another friendship on him in case I roll a bunch of knowledge, but I'm going to sit tight on that. Okay, there's a loyalty. There's 3 loyalty. That would potentially get me Mad Eye and open up my options. So I will assign the 3 loyalty to Mad Eye. Let's see what we do here. Alright, so that's the knowledge to either recruit Moody or put a hit on Yaxley. And I think... So which one do I want to do first? I think I'm going to put a hit on Yaxley first. Then we'll see if that rolls into... yeah, we'll see if that rolls into a loyalty as well. Or a knowledge, I should say. It does not. It rolls into a bravery, but that's also useful because I can assign that up to the Order of the Phoenix headquarters and get a corruption off of Gringotts Bank. So anyway, Moody sits for another turn, but we do put a damage on Yaxley, and thanks to Neville, we draw 2 spell tokens. Right now we also, I didn't mention this when we were up top, but we've got 3 wizards in the infirmary and 3 Death Eaters in Azkaban. We need to put 2 more up there to be able to defeat Voldemort fully. So first spell token that we find is another knowledge, which might be very helpful, and another red die. So we can toss that to give somebody a red die if we need to. Anyway, that will do it for the Order of the Phoenix. Moving down to Dumbledore's army and Hermione. First let's build her dice pool. So she gets 2 purple, 2 blue, and a red. And then where are we going to bring Hermione? Death Eater hunting is not a terrible idea with her either. I think we'll bring her to... I think we'll send her over to the Ministry of Magic, actually. We'll roll the Voldemort die while the tower's in shot, then we'll go zoom in on the Ministry of Magic and see what Hermione can do. Moving left, so he moves right back to Gringotts Bank, which means we put a damage on Moody. And then we've got a very dangerous situation here. I probably should have gone back after... So if Voldemort is present, add damage to the most damaged wizard on each player's team. So Sirius is in peril. Hermione's doing okay. And Dumbledore is by far the freshest of the bunch. So we put 2 corruption up. Voldemort's corruption, and then 1 because we would add a corruption to a knowledge wizard at this location, to each knowledge wizard, a damage there, but because we have no knowledge wizards there, we add another corruption. So we are in a very dangerous situation with Diagon Alley anyway. But we'll move over to the Ministry of Magic. Hermione's going Death Eater hunting. I think she's probably going after Malfoy. We'll do that. Dice Tower will move into shot. Right there. This game is more of a... Trying to shoot this game, it's more of a table hog than I thought it would be, but I'm getting a little ahead of myself there. I'm getting off topic there, but anyway. Doo-dee-doo. Well, I'll put the 2 friendship on... Actually, I'll put 1 on Malfoy. And then we'll roll again. And I do remember I've got a hacked mitigation. I've got a knowledge mitigation on Flitwick. Which I'll put another friendship on Malfoy. Actually, yeah. Another friendship on him. We'll put the bravery on him as well. And then actually what we can do here is I'll use his ability to change that knowledge into a bravery, and then I'll assign that to Malfoy and take him out. So Hermione will get 2 spell tokens. First up, We can remove 1 damage from 2 wizards, which we will probably be doing like post-haste. And an extra blue die. So we will use the 1 damage from 2 wizards to bring Sirius back from the brink and bring Ernie back from the brink as well. Which reminds me, I forgot to use his ability on his turn as well. So I'll use that to heal Sirius again. So that'll bring him down. That'll actually bring him way away from the brink. But anyway, Voldemort will bring the dice tower out of shot for a second. Mostly so I can mix these spell tokens up a little bit off camera. Malfoy goes up to Azkaban, and then replacing him, Fred and George Weasley. 2 loyalty, 2 friendship to recruit them. If you have another Weasley on your team, roll an extra purple or brown die each turn. So that'll do it for Dumbledore's army with Hermione. Now we'll move down to Hogwarts. We'll actually move back up top, take a quick look at the board and see where I want to send Dumbledore. So looking at the board right now, I think actually, I almost forgot that Gringotts Bank is now corrupted. So if we roll the Dark Mark with this place corrupted, players can't use spell tokens this turn. Now we need to be very careful, because if we get Diagon Alley completely corrupted, now we lose the game. And Yaxley, if Voldemort's present, Yaxley's putting up 2 corruption per turn. That needs to change. We need to get him off the board right now. Sorry, needed to take a drink. My throat was getting very dry. Anyway, 2 blue, a red, a second red, and a purple, and I've got some mitigation there. First up, though, we roll the Voldemort die, of course. We'll bring the dice tower into shot. Moving him right, so we move him to Hogsmeade, which means everything there takes a hit. McGonagall is near the brink, which he's not in peril yet. Then we put a corruption on Hogsmeade, on the Hogshead Inn, so that'll be our 3rd corrupted location as well, which means we probably need to get rid of. We'll probably need to work on the atrium this turn, but again, I'm getting a little next turn, but I'm getting a little ahead of myself there. So let's move down to Diagon Alley and see what we can do with that. So there we are. And like I said, our biggest priority here is we need to get Yaxley off the table right now. To the point where I'm either going to throw a spell token from Sirius with an extra knowledge or a blue die from Hermione into this if I need to. Because adding 2 corruption every time Voldemort lands there seems very bad. Well, I will assign the 2 knowledge to Yaxley, and we just need a friendship. There's the friendship, so we'll be able to get Yaxley off the table. I think at this point we just worry about, we probably just try to heal. We've got some wizards in pretty deep peril, and we do have the ability to change a friendship die, or a friendship result to any face. There's the, actually, you know what? If I toss in the knowledge from Sirius, which I will, that actually recruits Mad-Eye Moody. That works. So Yaxley is off the table, which will make our 5th Death Eater in Azkaban. And we'll take a fresh look at Moody. If your team is at the Ministry of Magic location, roll an extra brown die this turn. So that, like I said, that is our 5th Death Eater in Azkaban, which means we can fully defeat Voldemort. But we need two characters to replace at Diagon Alley. Another Death Eater, Antonin Dolohov. If Voldemort is present, add a damage to each loyalty wizard at this location. If there are none, add a corruption. Okay, he needs to go. Because once again, we're going to be looking at putting a lot of corruption on that location. And Pomona Sprout, which would have been helpful to have when Yaxley was around. 3 knowledge and a friendship to recruit her. We can assign a friendship or a knowledge to remove damage from any 2 wizards. So with that, let's move back up top and see how the board's changed. So Hogwarts is finally starting to get a little bit stronger. We weren't able to do any healing last round, but right now growing the team I think is just as important, especially when we're about halfway through the deck, so any time could bring Voldemort out. Dumbledore's army isn't doing too badly. They're a little busted up, but that can't be helped. As is the Order of the Phoenix up top. They're pretty hurting as well, but that's actually a decently strong team. But anyway, now let's move over to the rest of the board. And we're going to see one more change that we're going to need to make. So the Hogshead Inn is now fully corrupted. So now we have another Dark Mark to deal with. So if the Dark Mark is rolled, now we can't remove damage from more than 1 wizard on each player's team this turn. So that's our 3rd corrupted location. Our next corrupted location we lose, which is the Ministry of Magic. So we are which could be the atrium at the Ministry of Magic. So we are very much up against the wall here. But anyway, our next location in Hogsmeade is the Hogsmeade train platform. If this place is corrupted, players must first add a damage to a wizard before using that wizard's abilities this turn. That is gross. But anyway, so yeah, we're very much up against it. I think our first priority needs to be taking out Dolohov. Because once again, we're in a situation where we have a Death Eater who can do damage based on the wizard based on the type of wizard present, but we don't have that type of wizard present. So if Voldemort lands there, he'll be adding 2 corruption every turn, and that's very perilous. Of course, the Ministry of Magic is now still Death Eater Central, but that can't be helped. But anyway, I think we will send Sirius and the Order of the Phoenix back to Diagon Alley. Because like I said, getting Dolohov off the table and keeping us from having to deal with damage and sensitive to the type of wizard there, probably a very perilous, it's probably not a very good, leaving him there is not a good idea. But anyway, rolling the Voldemort die. Moves him back to the left. So this is the situation I was exactly afraid of. So 2 corruption on Diagon Alley, 1 because of Voldemort, 1 because of Dolohov. If he's present, add a damage to the most damaged wizard on each player's team. Yikes. So that's Sirius, Hermione, and Dumbledore. And then a damage to Sprout. So yeah, his dice are not ideal for going after. 2 red, 2 purple, a blue, and a brown. His dice are probably not the worst situated for going after Dolohov, but there's also a temptation here to throw an extra die into it just to make sure I get rid of Dolohov. I might do that later, but let's see how the turn unfolds first. Well, there's a temptation to just assign the two sets of 2 loyalty and a friendship oh no, that's knowledge. Never mind. Actually, no, we do have that. Never mind. I'm not with it because we do have 4 loyalty and 2 knowledge, which I think I will assign all of that just to get Dolohov off the table. And then we'll roll here just to see. This is a purple die I'm re-rolling, so I'm mostly interested in. We could do that. We could. I was looking at Filch and Norris. Their bravery ability would add damage to a friendship wizard and remove a corruption from a location. Or remove a corruption from your location. Question is, which one's more dangerous? I'll have to look at that when it comes up. And it does. So, corrupting Diagon Alley would just lose the game on the spot, but being able to take a damage from any location, we're in similar danger with the Ministry of Magic. So I think we are going to assign it. I think we are going to assign that up to Filch and Norris to add a damage to Neville and remove a corruption from the atrium. So yeah, either way, I think it just has the potential to be a big whammy. But anyway, we get Dolohov off the table, thankfully, and then the Order of the Phoenix will actually get to draw 4 spell tokens because Neville is insanely good like that. But anyway, first up we find removing 1 damage from... Actually, I think the first one was 2 damage from a wizard. This is 1 from 2, which we'll also use. Take 1 off Hermione and 1 off Sirius. So we should be at 3. Then we find another Bravery, which we'll probably need later. Third up, another 1 from 2. Actually, that's 2 from 1. So I think we'll use that as well. And we'll take it off of Hermione to bring her back from the brink. And an extra friendship. So we can toss that to use an extra friendship. But anyway, replacing Dolohov at the location. Oh, hey, look at that. We found Voldemort. So now a thing to keep an eye on is we can discard a die to move to Voldemort's location. We can also put the full damage on him. But anyway, replacing Voldemort now. Kingsley Shacklebolt. 4 loyalty and a bravery. Roll an extra brown or red die each turn and you can take 5 damage. Anyway, that will do it for Sirius's turn. Now coming down to Hermione. Actually, before we start into Hermione's turn, I'll be right back. Battery was about to go on me, so I had to change it out. But anyway, looking at Hermione right now, we do have Voldemort in play, but I don't think she's quite ready. I think we might have to send her... I think we still need to recruit with her, actually. Question is, who do I recruit? Coming over to Hogsmeade and trying to get a Weasley to synergize with Fred and George? I don't know if we have time to worry about that, but... yeah, I think we'll come down to Hogsmeade with McGonagall still in peril. See if we can't recruit her. But the Voldemort die... Voldemort's moving to the left, so he's moving over to the Ministry of Magic, so it's a good thing we took that corruption off. Old Voldemort is present at a corruption to the location with the least corruption. And then add to the least damaged knowledge wizard on each player's team. So that's Dumbledore, or Dumbledore's army. Flitwick, and Filch. Okay, there you are. Alright, so Hermione's dice pool is a purple... Wait, help so I put the icons in the right place. 2 purple, 2 blue, and a red. We'll bring the camera over toward Hogsmeade. So before I start musing on who I want to recruit this turn, let's see what the first dice roll gives me. I've got to remember I've got the mitigation as well. I can change a hat to any result I need. Along with spell options as well. Well... I think we go all in on trying to get McGonagall this turn, so we'll take the 3 knowledge there. I may have to toss in extra dice to get this, but I'm getting ahead of myself there. Okay, there's 5 knowledge, so actually the knowledge result right now is something I want to see with Flitwick. Which that is not, but I will remove a corruption from my location. And then I'll have Hermione use her die, her blue die spell token, to get an extra blue die. No, that's not what I wanted to see, but I'll put that on Molly, and then Sirius, I'm probably doing a very stupid play, but I'm going to use his red spell token to give her a blue die, to give her another red die. Plus, McGonagall is also in peril, so if I can get her off the location, I'm going to. Because remember, that heals her to full as well. That isn't going to pan out. But I will assign a single there to Hermione where I can potentially heal, so if I roll that again, I can, well, okay, that's what I wanted to see happen. So there's the 6 knowledge, which does let me recruit McGonagall, and because I've got Flitwick, that will give me another extra blue die. So anyway, Hermione thematically always was in tight with the teachers at Hogwarts, for the most part, but anyway, red. So her dice pool is going to be a lot of blue. Where is that 4th blue die? Should be one more. I didn't mix it in with something, did I? Oh, I was assigning it to Molly because I thought I was going to be able to recruit her. But anyway, now we find Mundungus Fletcher. We need 2 loyalty to recruit him. And if we're at Diagon Alley, roll an extra red die this turn. So that will do it for Hermione. Dumbledore. Where is Dumbledore going to move? We're definitely going to need bravery when we go after Voldemort. So I think we're going to send him... Unfortunately, we're not at Diagon Alley. So, unfortunately, he's not at the Ministry of Magic, so Moody won't help him. But I think we will bring him... Actually, we'll move up top so we can see what I'm doing. But yes, I am going to move Hogwarts and Dumbledore's army over to Diagon Alley. I am taking a bit of a risk here, but my plan here is next round I'm probably going Voldemort hunting. Let's see what we can do here. Move him right back, move him to the right. So that's going to be a bit of a problem. But anyway, damage all around. So Kingsley takes a hit. As does Sprout. As does my entire team. So 4, and then 1's all around. One. And his dice pool is 2 blue, 2 red, and a purple, and I don't get the brown die from Mad Eye, but I do have mitigation from the Patil twins. I can change a friendship roll to any result. Boy. Right. So there's also an option of... Let's see here. It's a single friendship, so I wouldn't be able to change that. I will have to use one of these singles, though, to remove 2 damage from a wizard. I will remove from Neville, because he's actually pretty busted up. Then we'll roll this. I can roll a bravery. I can use the bravery from Sirius's spell token to give that to Dumbledore, so I might have to. We got all the knowledge in the world, which actually would give me Sprout and give me more healing, which would not be a terrible thing either. So I think I'll take that. Unfortunately, this is not the time to be worried about healing. This is the time to get ready to fight, to take care of Voldemort. Then we'll roll that. We'll roll the last red die. Now we get the 2 loyalty, but we do recruit Sprout for the team. So I can assign a knowledge to her to remove a damage from any 2 wizards. And then replacing her is the Sorting Hat. 1 loyalty, 2 knowledge, and a bravery. If your team is at a location with a Death Eater, you may roll an extra die of your choice this turn. With that, we'll move back up top and see how the board's changed. The teams are reasonably balanced, so I think we're probably about ready to start going Voldemort hunting pretty soon. But we need to be careful, because if we get the Atrium corrupted, we lose the game. I think, though, I can afford to take 1 more round off. Mostly because I want to try to recruit... I want to try to get some brown dice this turn, but I need to be very careful, like I said, because if we get the Atrium corrupted, or if we get Diagon Alley fully corrupted, we lose the game. So let's move over to the board and take a quick look at that. I've got Sirius's dice pool all ready to go. We see we've got 3. It's faint up here, but we do have 3 corrupted locations up in Azkaban, up by Voldemort. 1 more. The Atrium is probably going to be the next to go. We've also got Diagon Alley that needs 3 more to be corrupted. But yeah, I think we have time just barely to take 1 more round off to try to get some more brown dice for the fight against Voldemort. So I think Sirius will come down. We'll bring the Order of the Phoenix down to... Bring him down to Diagon Alley. And then we'll roll the Voldemort die. Dark Mark goes off. So, that means we actually get a corruption here. Everything here takes a hit. Greyback adds a damage to the most damaged wizard on each player's team, which Flitwick is probably going to bite it, except we'll probably use Ernie's ability to keep him alive. And Dumbledore. We also add a corruption to the Hogsmeade location because of Greyback's Dark Mark ability. And the active player discards a spell token. That's actually bad. Well, not too bad. We have a bravery that we can discard to it. But anyway. Now we'll drop down. Now we'll move up and drop down to Diagon Alley. And we'll see what Sirius can do. If we can get him at least 1 character with a... to give me an extra brown die, I'll be very happy with that. But let's see what we can do here. Let's see, that's 1. I'll put the loyalty and the bravery on the sorting. Actually, is at a location with a Death Eater. Either one's going to amount to an extra brown die, so... Actually, we're going to focus him on getting Kingsley. Then we'll roll those again. I want to roll the red die again, even though it had a loyalty on it, to try to get 2s. Like that, which will put a 2 on Kingsley. Then we'll roll again. Okay, what does that give us? I think that just gives us Kingsley. So Kingsley will join the Order of the Phoenix. Then we'll mostly roll, see if we can get Try to get a corruption off, which we cannot do. But I don't think we can do anything further with that. So I think that will be the end of the turn, which will give Kingsley to the Order of the Phoenix. Roll an extra red or brown die each turn, which will translate to roll an extra brown die when you go to fight Voldemort. But anyway, coming out we find Cho Chang. 4 friendship can take 4 damage. If your team is at Hogsmeade, roll an extra brown die and roll an extra brown die. So Hermione, we'll zoom back out to the board. We're going to send her. Actually, I think we're going to bring her back here, back to Diagon Alley as well. Try to get Cho, which will hopefully help out with the Voldemort fight next round. Basically, I'm going to do anything I can to help with that. Moving him left, which this is dangerous. So we move him there. We move him to the Ministry of Magic, adds a corruption, which also adds a corruption from Nagini to the Hogsmeade train platform, and added damage to the least damaged knowledge wizard on each player's team. So that will be Sprout for Dumbledore, McGonagall for Hermione, and Filch and Mrs. Norris for the Order of the Phoenix. But anyway, now we'll move down to Hermione, or move down to Diagon Alley. Right, so 2 purple, 2 blue, actually, okay, 1 blue for start and a red. Going through the wizards, Hermione has another knowledge wizard on her team, so she gets another blue die. And then McGonagall synergizes with Flitwick to give me a 3rd blue die. I want to try to get more brown dice because I need the swords. So I need the swords when I go to fight Voldemort, but we really need to get some of this corruption off the location, off of the Ministry of Magic. But, wow, we roll hats for days. We roll knowledge for days, which actually will all but set me up to recruit. Which will all but set me up to recruit the Sorting Hat. I just need 1 loyalty to get it. Which I can change any hat face to a loyalty, and there's the Sorting Hat. So that Sorting Hat will be recruited at the end of the turn. And mostly I'm going to see if I can roll for healing and for, what do I have in there? A red and a purple. So I'm going to see if I can roll for removing a corruption and or healing. Mostly because I want to try to keep Flitwick alive. Yeah, I will assign that to, I'll assign the red bravery to the headquarters and remove a corruption. I'll see if I can roll this into a 2 and heal. Although it's not going to matter too terribly much because I have the Sorting Hat now to replace Flitwick, which will just give me an additional die. If I'm at a location with a Death Eater, that lets me roll an additional die of my choice. But Flitwick, unfortunately, ends up in the infirmary. So that's Hermione's turn. Now as we move up to Dumbledore, as we move back to Hogwarts and Dumbledore, let's zoom back out. I'm going to send him over to the Ministry of Magic and try to get rid of some of that corruption. I'll pull his dice pool together. So 2 blue. What did I do with the red? Red's here. And a purple. I do have a bravery or a loyalty wizard, so I get another red. And I send him over to the Ministry of Magic, so Moody's active, which means I get an extra brown die. Okay. So that's all set, but first we roll the Voldemort die. A death mark here is very perilous and makes me need to save a bravery so I can remove a corruption. Moving right. Actually, we forgot to replace the Sorting Hat at Diagon Alley. So we find Ginny Weasley, a loyalty, 2 friendship, and a bravery. On a loyalty, or on a bravery, always players with a Weasley on their team draw a spell token. So Voldemort moves back right. Put a corruption on Diagon Alley. Everybody there takes a hit. And we added damage to the most damaged wizard on each player's team. So Dumbledore is going to bite it if we can't heal him. Hermione and Sirius. So anyway, we'll move down to Dumbledore. We'll zoom back in on Diagon Alley. And we'll see what we can do. Okay, well, so I guess who are we after here? Actually, I think we're mostly... Oh, it would help if I zoom in on the Ministry of Magic. My bad. Good thing I caught it. So, I think mostly we're trying to protect the Ministry of Magic. So, what do I want to do here? I think we'll go ahead and put 1 hit for sure on Crabbe and Goyle, and we'll roll again. We'll take the... We'll take the 2 knowledge there, see if we can just take Crabbe and Goyle out. We do have a bravery, but I'm going to save that for Voldemort if I can. Let's get the dice tower into shot. Sorry about the first couple of rolls. Actually, we do need a... I should probably try to get a... Try to get a loyalty so I can keep Dumbledore alive. I'll discard that and keep rolling. There we go. So that will let me heal, remove 2 damage from a wizard, so that'll let me keep Dumbledore alive. But it will also put a hit on, we will also put a hit on Crabbe and Goyle, which will give me a spell token, so we find an extra purple die, which we're going to need dice now because it's time to move back up top and see how the board's changed. As long as the Ministry of Magic can stay out of danger, as long as we can keep the Ministry of Magic and Diagon Alley both out of danger, I think it's time to go Voldemort hunting. So I think we've got pretty decent dice to do that all around, looking at our team. Then as we move over to the board, we see that we still have 3 corrupted locations. 1 more loses the game at the Ministry of Magic. We also have Diagon Alley that's in danger of being fully corrupted. But anyway, we'll start off with the Order of the Phoenix next, and we need to send them anywhere special to get extra dice. We do not. So I'm going to just send him to... I don't want him to get hit if I can avoid it. So I'm going to send him to Hogsmeade? Yes. We'll send him to Hogsmeade. Then we'll roll the Voldemort die. I'll say that 5 times fast. Moving him right. Okay, so this is a problem. We'll move him over to Hogsmeade, the Hogsmeade trading platform, which means that gets a corruption. Everybody there takes 1, so Molly goes up to 4. Bill goes up to 3. Come on, there we go. And Fletcher goes up to 1. Our entire team gets hit as well, so Sirius isn't going to bite it. I'm going to sacrifice Ernie to keep him around. Actually, no, Ernie's not in danger. 2, 3, and 1. Then we'll build his dice pool, so 2 red, a purple and a blue, another purple because he's got a friendship wizard, a brown from Filch, and another brown. It's either red or brown from Kingsley, but it's going to be a brown. Then I'm going to forfeit a purple die to move up to Voldemort's location, since we're not in too much danger. We can hit Voldemort just like he was a Death Eater. We just need 3 bravery to do it. That's why I was busy accumulating dice for that purpose. And having him go to Hogsmeade was probably the best thing we could have had happen this turn, which means we're not in danger of just losing the game on the spot. We're also able to keep Sirius around thanks to Ernie. And now all we care about are swords. Very simple. Like, oh my. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That will be a guaranteed 1. That'll be, if I use the bravery token as well, that'll be a guaranteed 2 hits. Probably will. Well, I won't need it. I'll be able to save it for the next turn. And well, if we roll if we're going to roll another bravery, we can potentially remove a corruption from a location because Filch can put it on Neville. Which that is not. So we do get 2 hits on Voldemort. And that gets the Order of the Phoenix 4. That gets the Order of the Phoenix 4 spell tokens, which is probably going to be very busted here. We'll not take that one. So first up we find another red die, which will be handy if we need to forfeit a die anyway. Yep. An extra knowledge, which we probably don't need for the most part. Remove 1 damage from 2 wizards, which we'll probably use now to take Sirius back from the brink. And we'll pull Filch back as... Filch back as well, because we're going to need... We need all the brown dice we can find, and... another bravery, so that's more bravery right now is a very good thing. But anyway, that will do it for the Order of the Phoenix. We'll move him off of there. Hermione will move back up top very well. We're not going to move back up top for 2. Actually, we're not going to need to move back up top because she's going to be moving out up here anyway as well. So we'll bring her... She needs to go somewhere with a Death Eater for the Sorting Hat to work, so we'll bring her to the... Well, we'll bring her to the atrium to start the turn. But I've got the Tice Tower and shot. So let's roll the Voldemort die and see where she lands. Because we might need to try to protect the location. If it stays at Hogsmeade or Diagon Alley, we should be fine. If it stays at Hogsmeade or moves to Diagon Alley, we should be fine. Moving right, that's actually a big problem because that will put the last corruption on the atrium. Voldemort is present. Add a damage to the least damaged knowledge wizard on your team, which will actually be putting damage on everything in a second. Add a corruption to each location with the least. So, oh boy, we're in peril here. And everything there takes another damage. So we'll actually... Unfortunately, we'll actually have to move down to the location because we need to protect the atrium badly. Okay, sorry for the delay. I had to look up a ruling on something. Basically, the problem we have here is if we get out of this turn without defeating Voldemort, we're going to lose because the atrium is going to be our 4th corrupted location. What I was trying to determine, though, was if I had a way to win the game instead, and I think I do. So, I've built Hermione's dice pool out based on her team. So she's got... That's the starting pool from the DA. So a red, blue, and 2 purple. She gets another purple from having a knowledge wizard, another blue from having another knowledge wizard on the team. The sorting hat, since she's at a location with a Death Eater, gives her a die of her choice. I'm choosing brown. And then McGonagall, because there's another knowledge wizard on the team, I get another blue die. Then I'm going to burn spell tokens from both Dumbledore, from both Order of the Phoenix and Hogwarts. So I'm going to burn both of these to give her 2 additional dice. Then I'm going to toss one of the purple dice to redeploy Dumbledore's army up to Voldemort's location. I've also got 2 bravery icons from Order of the Phoenix and Sirius. So basically the situation here is I'm either going to win the game or I'm going to lose right here. Because if both a win and a lose condition have been met, then I get the win. So here we go. That's not off to a good start, but what's back there? That'll at least be good for 1 hit once I include the bravery tokens. Okay, there's 2. We're gonna definitely be doing this the slow way from the looks of it. Oh boy, that's going to be a problem, because we really cannot afford to miss. So I've got to toss that and re-roll. I'll use one of these for a guaranteed hit. Basically, like I said, we've got no margin for error here. Well, almost no margin for error. Because between token and dice, we need to get 6 more. And that's 2, 3, 4. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Which means this is our last possible roll where we have to get at least 1 bravery, and the brown has to be a 2. Unfortunately, the brown is only a 1. Well, no, it has to be a... Unfortunately, the brown had to be a 2 to be able to do this, because if we don't do this, if we don't do it that way, we're not going to have enough dice to do it. So, I think we are, unfortunately, because we can only assign the 1 bravery, we'd use the token, we're going to come up 1 bravery short, so I'm going to end the turn there. We are going to lose the game, because the atrium has come out and been fully corrupted. Actually, no. Well, the atrium's been corrupted, but that is our 4th corrupted location. I'll zoom out so you can see that. That is our 4th corrupted location, so we have lost the game. Now let's move back up top to wrap this video up. The safer play there probably would have been to protect the atrium, but I don't think our position was that great in terms of trying to defeat Voldemort, because we weren't completely ready. I don't think we were completely ready to have to jump in, but circumstances kind of forced my hand in. And I probably would have only trusted Sirius to get there, but I don't think it would have looped back. I don't think it would have looped back to his turn anyway, so... Because we also had Diagon Alley that was about to be fully corrupted, and Hogsmeade took a bit of a hit there to get to almost on the brink as well. We were basically just surrounded by corruption everywhere we turned at the end there, so it was close, but we came up a little bit short. But anyway, that will do it for this playthrough of Harry Potter Death Eaters Rising. Next week, we're going to take a bigger break from gameplay. We'll have a few smaller game videos. I've got one more coming in that I'm working on, or that I'm waiting for. I may do an unboxing next week of some stuff that I'm getting in, but there's also a video I've been wanting to make for a while. So Fantasy Flight has now come out with 3 different living card games. You've seen one of them extensively on the channel. I want to take a look at these 3 card games that they're supporting, and maybe, if you're on the fence about these living card games, help you decide which one you want to get into. Admittedly, I'll be slightly biased toward Arkham Horror LCG, seeing as I featured multiple campaigns of it on the channel, and I have more coming, but I'll try to be objective in this video. Anyway, next week, as part of this slate of videos, I'm going to do a 3-way review of the 3 Fantasy Flight living card games: Arkham Horror, Lord of the Rings, and Marvel Champions. Thank you for watching the video. Please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to turn on notifications so you get my content. Be well, stay safe, take care of yourselves and your loved ones, and I'll be back with more videos in the future. Until then, take care everyone.